Between Queens and the Cities is my memoir, which means it's a personal narrative. It starts when I first left for the United States as a college student, and the various experiences I had, the people I met, and then my decision to return to Nepal, and then what happened in the last few years regarding my friendships and personal and my work. That's the general arc of the book, and I've written it from the perspective of an openly gay man, and a gay Nepali man, and the various struggles and challenges, but also the joys and adventures that was encapsulated in that experience. It was only much later that I realized how attached I was to life in New York, even though the attachment had taken an unhealthy turn, because it was intrinsically connected to fear. I knew that I was drinking too much and going out to Manhattan clubs instead of spending more time with relatives in Queens. Truth was, I was afraid of returning to Nepal. I felt that other than New York, I had no other options. So this book spans a slightly longer time, about 20 years. And during revising and towards the end of the process, and now holding the book and reading the earlier parts, I'm myself sort of amused, realizing that I've changed, in the last 20, 30 years. And I think that's something everyone can relate to when you think about your younger days. I continued to wake up every morning, make coffee, and eat cereal with cold milk. I managed to walk to the subway through autumn's wind, through winter's sleet. I got on the R train and transferred to the G at Court Square. I took out my iPod and closed my eyes during the commute, trying to find momentary solace in Ray LaMontagne's sorrowful voice. So during my late 20s in New York, my life was, I was working. I had a full-time job as a teacher, which was very demanding in New York's public school. And that's why the only sort of way to find solace, was to go out during weekends. And that's sort of one of the major lifestyle choices. I'm not for everyone. But that's what I was doing. And, after a couple of years, it gets very dreary and monotonous. So, waking up every morning, taking the same train, returning to life and remembering that life as a queer immigrant was not always easy. I didn't have the usual network of, larger families, friends, the rituals. Dasai Tihar was different for me. So I was gradually sort of getting very isolated and not happy. So I transitioned from one world to another. I demolished one life and constructed another. I searched for jobs, friends, a community. The process took its toll, but my inner life went through a more taxing transition, as if I was passing through a long, dark tunnel. I panicked regularly. I broke down several times. Inside the tunnel, it was impossible to see myself. My half-formed identity was lost. Eventually, the light at the end revealed parts of me that were transformed during the journey, and I realized I had returned to an alternate sense of self and being. After returning to Nepal, there were similar challenges, right? You are back to the same society with the same dominant rituals and cultural practices. So it's always about navigating these circles and these structures. But within that, we can also find our own community and build solidarity and link lives and read all of that. So this book has all of that included. Regarding whether Nepali society has changed or whether it's ready or whether anyone has played a part, I want to read a quote by James Baldwin. He said, "Not everything you face can be changed, but not until you face it can it be changed." Change happens in different ways. There are, macro levels, on political level, on the level of governments. Change can also happen on a communal level inside your own personal spaces. So following up on Baldwin's quote, I feel that, I kind of believe that if Sunil Babu Pant, who founded the Blue Diamond Society with a few other activists, if that hadn't happened at that time, I don't know what would have happened to Nepal's LGBTIQ movement. So whether it's only one person and a few people who actually started the movement, or whether it might have happened, somebody else might have taken that on, we don't know that. But and then that also happened in the context of Nepal's socio-political transition, the People's War and the interim constitution and all of that. So it's sort of different forces came together, right? But I also know that we, on a personal, individual level, need to take action and face and tell our stories and put our agenda forward. Like if we don't do that, then we don't know if anyone else will do it. So that's also why I chose to write this book, because I felt that if I didn't face my condition, my passions, what I believe in, then like I don't think I would be able to live with that. So despite the struggle and the challenges, I decided to face it. Other queer persons have chosen different pathways and different decisions, right? So in that sense, I'm not representing anyone. This is just my story. But I feel that at the very least, we need to share our story on a wider platform so that others can also think about all of this.